Marcus Rashford just said something on camera that Manchester United fans have waited 18 months to hear, and it's not what you'd expect. He didn't just say he wants to stay. He finally explained why he left, and the answer points straight at the club itself. In his own words, the atmosphere around Old Trafford was genuinely bad. Bad enough that he needed a year and a half away just to reset. That's not a throwaway line. That's a senior international putting on record that something inside the building was broken. And he's not the only headline today. A 15-year-old academy prospect named JJ Gabriel is already caught in a tug-of-war between two Premier League giants, despite legally being unable to sign anything for another year. Meanwhile, Michael Carrick is about to walk his players out against the exact manager he replaced in a fixture. That's technically a friendly, but carries a lot more underneath the surface. 3 stories, 1 club, and every one of them tells you where United are heading this season. Here's what's actually on the line. If the issues Rashford described haven't been fixed, United risk losing a homegrown player for good, entirely self-inflicted. With Gabriel, the club is racing a calendar it can't control because he can't be tied down yet, and a major rival is already circling, and with Carrick facing Ruben Amorim. Across the touchline, whatever happens gets read by everyone watching as proof of who was right. If you want these threads followed properly instead of the surface-level version everyone else puts out, stick around and hit subscribe, because there's a lot more coming on this club. Let's start with what was actually said. Pep Guardiola was asked directly about Carrick, and he didn't hold back, saying Carrick's unpredictable tactical shift set him apart, something he says was true even back when Carrick was a player. Guardiola joked he never truly worried about facing United until they beat his Man City side last season, then went further, naming Carrick alongside Enzo Maresca and Mikel Arteta as one of 3 managers who could define this season, when a manager with Guardiola's singles out a rival unprompted like that. It's not flattery. It's one of the sport's sharpest minds telling the football world he sees United as a genuine threat again, and that changes how every opponent prepares for them. Now to Rashford himself. He said his intention has never wavered, that he wants to stay and fight for a shirt, and admitted the last 18 months have been difficult. He said the loan happened because the environment was genuinely bad and he needed it to clear his head, but that he still believes he has plenty to give his boyhood club. Here's why that matters. He's putting the real reason for his exit on the record himself instead of letting rumours fill the gap, and he didn't blame for more a single manager. He pointed at the environment as a whole. That tells you the problem ran deeper than tactics. So what changed enough to bring him back? Carrick's answer lined up almost perfectly. He said football has ups and downs, but the group is currently in a good place, and that Rashford has proven he can deliver before and can do it again. Notice what he didn't do. He made no specific promises about a starting role. He talked about the collective, the exact language Rashford used, when a returning player and his manager independently described the same shift without being asked to align their stories. That consistency is worth noting. There's also a transfer angle worth flagging. Reports suggest United could still pursue a cheaper, experienced forward even if Joshua Zirkzee stays, purely for competition. That's speculation for now, not confirmed, but the logic is worth considering, since exploring backup options while Zirkzee remains suggests the club still sees that position as needing depth. Ruud Gullit was asked which summer signing across the entire league impressed him most, and his answer was Rashford, suggesting he could be the standout of the whole window. Gullit said Rashford played with far more freedom away from United than he ever showed at the club, and raised the obvious question: is that down to the player or the environment? If a player performs at a noticeably higher level elsewhere, that usually says something about the old setup. That's an outside voice backing up exactly what Rashford said himself, which is both reassuring and a little uncomfortable, because now the club has to actually prove the culture changed. On the academy side, Carrick revealed he'd been checking in regularly with Kobbie Mainoo throughout his World Cup run, calling it a tough but valuable experience for a player so young. He widened that into a broader philosophy, saying developing academy talent is one of the best things about this club, and that several younger players were deliberately thrown into first-team minutes against Leeds specifically because of the difficulty, regardless of the result. That's a coach actively building academy involvement into his approach, not just tolerating it. Carrick also praised the club's newest signings directly, singling one out for his character as much as his ability, saying he's been a genuine pleasure to coach, which tells you culture is now being weighed as heavily as talent in recruitment. Asked about a possible third midfield signing, he gave a careful non-answer, open to it, but only if it genuinely helps the team. And asked about Mainoo being left out of the World Cup squad entirely, he refused to criticise the decision, redirecting instead to how good a place Mainoo is in now, a manager choosing not to fight a battle that isn't his. There's confirmation too that United are actively working to lock down JJ Gabriel's future, targeting scholarship terms for October alongside a pre-contract for professional terms, with one major London rival reportedly the strongest threat to his signature. Worth being clear, that rival interest is speculation, while United's own plan is an active, ongoing effort. Meanwhile, a young academy goalkeeper spoke about turning down other options to stay, admitting it was hard after being at the club since age 11, but pushing back on the idea that his path is discouraging since training daily against the world's best is tougher than people assume. Finally, Carrick addressed squad depth heading into Europe, saying the club isn't naive about the challenge. The group feels stronger than it did last season, and the job now is building on that. Now, the fixture everyone's actually circling, United close pre-season against AC Milan, managed by Ruben Amorim, the man Carrick directly replaced. Given 5 pre-season games already played, and exactly who's in the opposite dugout, almost nobody inside this squad will treat this as a normal friendly. Rashford and Mainu are both in line to feature after just returning to training. One forward still hasn't played a single pre-season minute and badly needs time. A key centre-back is unlikely to feature after limited rest post-World Cup, and Mason Mount's injury absence is still being monitored. Expect Bruno Fernandes and Yuri Tielemans to move into bigger roles after coming off the bench, in a lineup that closely mirrors what's expected to start against Hull City. The personal stakes make it sharper. Rashford facing the manager who effectively pushed him out is the headline story. One forward Amorim was reportedly ready to sell for as little as 40 million makes his first pre-season appearance here. Bruno Fernandes wants to prove being shifted deeper under the old regime was a mistake, and Patrick Dorgu, who once spoke about feeling anxious under that same management, carries similar motivation. Taken together, this is about as strong a send-off into a new season as Carrick could ask for. A fixture against the exact manager his players are collectively motivated to prove wrong, right as his key men return to full fitness. So that's where things stand. A returning forward finally telling the truth about why he left, a 15-year-old. Already fought over before he's legally allowed to commit to anyone. And a head coach about to walk out against the man he replaced, leading a squad with something to prove. None of these 3 stories are finished. All 3 are just getting started.